It's like, if I'm going to start prioritizing myself, am I going to miss out on some things that would otherwise have been socially fun? Yes, you are. But what are you going to gain? You're going to gain autonomy. You're going to gain getting closer to your goals more quickly. And maybe even be able to have better social relationships, because when you do hang out with them, you're there because you really do want to be there. You're not there out of obligation.
Yeah, that's right. What it makes me think of is the quote, "You can do anything, but just not everything."
Chris Williamson said that in the Diary of a CEO
Did he?
podcast recently. He
Yeah,
said,
one of the same.
did it in the context of New Year's resolutions. You can change anything you want this year, but not everything.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it makes me think of that. So, if you're saying yes to everything, you're probably giving a diluted version of yourself, because you're not giving your authentic version of yourself. So every yes is a no to something else. So you do have to look at priorities to an extent, and it's mastering the artful no. And sometimes when you start prioritizing yourself, that no can feel extremely uncomfortable, but then over time you get better at it, and people learn to respect you for the ability to say no. This is something I've definitely learned. Like, I don't drink. I've been in environments where people are like, "Do you want to drink?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm good." And I know the level of respect or sort of confirmation I get of that now is so much better than when before I was like, "Oh no, I don't really drink, thank you though," and I was just kind of a bit awkward with. Whereas now I'm like, "Nope, I don't drink." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, thanks." It's super easy. If you're firm and you believe in your sense of identity, it makes that no so much easier. And people tend to respect it a lot more, because then you're not half-hearted. You're not second-guessing. It's not a half-hearted yes or a half-hearted no. It's a clear setting of boundaries. And people like people that set boundaries, because then you know where you exist within their world.
Yeah.
Do you think you say yes to things when you really want to say no?
All the time.
Oh, really?
That's why I've got no time.
Interesting.
I say yes. Trevor Noah was on a podcast and he was talking about this. But the person who says yes to, like, the importance of saying no, the person who says yes to everything, especially if you have bad time management skills, is like, somebody asked me, can you look after my kids? Can you babysit my kids while I go out to this thing? Yeah, of course. And then I look at the calendar later and realize that I have a gig that starts 15 minutes after they're supposed to be back. And then you feel guilty about it because you've just said yes, they've made these plans, and you've already said yes to the gig. It's like, okay, how do you navigate that? And the reality is that the anxiety and the feelings inside build up, and then last minute you let them down because you were trying to figure out a way to solve it and get yourself out of it. And you're always setting yourself up to fail.
And that always hurts so much more for the other person as well, as if you cancel last minute rather than just being up front and go, "No, sorry, I can't do that."
Yeah. And then you stack emotions. You go, "Oh, I feel bad about that. Oh, you idiot. You shouldn't have said yes in the first place." And then you feel anxiety about the fact that you've just done exactly the same thing in a different scenario elsewhere. And it's, yeah. So I do say yes to too much. One of my things for 2026 is to say no more, or don't. Yeah. Say no more. Don't commit to things that I don't fully believe in.
Say yes to the right thing. So I suppose no's often feel selfish, but they're not really, because we confuse availability with love. But how can someone that's depleted show up deeply? How can you show up as your best version of yourself for that person if you yourself are drained and saying yes to everything under the sun? Don't get me wrong, there is a big part of me that loves the yes man theory, that loves the saying yes because it opens yourself up to new opportunities. I love that mindset, and I actually think it's something people should embrace for a short period in their life. Say yes to absolutely everything that comes your way and see how your life changes. But then you'll very quickly learn that you can't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And then you start learning what you want to say yes to and what you want to say no to. And then you end up curating better relationships because you have a respect for yourself, you have a respect for them and their time. And because saying no in the wrong rooms will make you fully present in the right ones.
Yeah, super important. I applied the yes theory.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a bit different because I was actually excited about the thing as well.
Okay.
But it's something out of the ordinary for me to say yes to that I just went for anyway. And that is, you asked, Will, do you want to come to Bali? I said yes. I didn't at the time, especially. I was like, I need to work. I need to work. I need to work. I need to work. But I said yes. And now it's getting to the point where we're looking at booking, like Sophie booking the holiday off and us booking the flights. It's like, I've already in my head now worked out how I'm going to get around that work-wise. There's no pressure on it. I can just be excited for the trip itself. And that yes has taught me that you don't need to say no to opportunities if, like, just because of some arbitrary reason or you're expecting stress in advance. Like, that's just stupid. So yeah, trying to say yes to more is good, but also knowing if you're working towards a goal, saying no to things that aren't important or you don't think will enrich your life is important.
100% agree. There's a mindset that I adopted one point in my life when I was feeling extremely indecisive. And I love this and I still implement it to this day. And I think it's awesome. I've said it before and I'll probably say it again. But if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yeah.
If the opportunity that's in front of you ignites your soul to the point where you're like, hell yeah, let's go. It's a yeah, that's a yes, obviously. But if it doesn't ignite you to that point, it's a no.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on it. And don't get me wrong, it's a very similar mindset to the yes man theory, because it does sometimes mean that you miss out on things that you maybe would have actually enjoyed if you went. But it does also help you understand what you want to prioritize. So when someone says, do you want to go out for a drink tonight? And you're like, oh, maybe. It's like, no. Okay, so that clearly wasn't important. What was? Someone's messaged me if I want to go for a workout that evening. Actually, yeah, that's important. So, okay, clearly going to the gym is arguably more important. Oh, someone actually asked me out for dinner. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's more important because it's more of a social interaction. So it helps you define what's important for you at that point. But your social life becomes a source of fuel rather than a source of fatigue when you start to say no. You develop a reputation for being fully present because people know that if you're there, you really want to be there. And that's so understated. How amazing would that feel if people knew that if you're coming, it's because you want to be there? That must feel pretty damn good. That people know that you're there because you legitimately want to, not because they said yes out of obligation. So how would you start to say no? You'd have to ask questions like which events, which yeses make me feel full and which make me feel hollow, which make me feel empty and drained. Do I say yes to avoid discomfort? Or do I say yes because it helps me feel more aligned with myself? I suppose it's who do I have energy for? Or who do I feel like I want to protect my energy for? A well-placed no is often the most generous yes to your future self. So it's not saying no to everything, but it's a well-placed no.
Yeah. There's an idea, again, in the Chris Williamson Diary of a CEO podcast, which is, what could you do today that your 85-year-old self would thank you for? And it's probably saying no to a lot of the stuff that you know is bad for your health but short-term enjoyable. It's like, just think about what your future self would think about it.
Yeah, that's a really nice lens to put on it, because then when you frame things like what would my future self thank me for, it allows you to make the most informed decisions you can at that point. Would my future self thank me for going for a 6 p.m. workout or going out drinking all night? Likely the workout. So it's difficult. I know sometimes people feel like FOMO is a huge part of their life and they have to say yes to everything and they don't want to miss out on what life has to offer. But in reality, you can't experience everything. Like we've said, you can do anything you want. You just can't do everything you want, which should be inspiration as opposed to sort of demotivation. But yeah, we've spoken about like the hill gradient effect. So it reminds us that we're not facing life alone.